Hi everyone. Did you know that softball was originally played with a broomstick and a boxing glove? Today I'm going to talk about the history of softball. Softball is a sport that is played year-round. It takes a lot of time, energy, and dedication from both the parent and the player. It is considered to be one of the fastest growing women's sports in the United States. Softball is very similar to baseball. In fact, it originated from baseball, which is where I will begin with the history of the game. In November of 1887, in Chicago, Illinois, George Hancock had an idea of the game that now is known as softball. He originally wanted to take the game of baseball and move it indoors. Using what was available, he tied together the laces of a boxing glove for a ball and grabbed a broomstick for a bat. Using a piece of chalk, Hancock marked off home plate, bases, a pitcher's box, inside of a gym, and with two groups he divided them into teams. The game quickly spread throughout the country and ultimately flourished in Minneapolis because of a man named Robert Loomis. He was a fire department lieutenant who wanted a game to keep his firemen fit. Using a vacant lot adjacent to the firehouse, Robert laid out bases with a pitching distance of 35 feet. His ball was a medicine ball and with a bat of 2 inches diameter. The game became popular overnight and other fire companies began to play. The captain of his fire department called the game Kitty League Ball, and in the summer of 1990 it was shortened to just Kitten Ball. In 1925 the name was changed again to Diamond Ball by the Minneapolis Park Board, and the name softball did not come about until 1926 when Walter Hankinson, a Denver YMCA official and a former ASA president and commissioner, suggested it to the International Joint Rules Committee. The committee did not include the ASA until 1934. So softball was not materialized on a national basis until 1933. Leo Fisher and Michael Pauley conceived the idea of organizing thousands of local softball teams in America into cohesive state organizations, and then state organizations into national organizations. Softball has changed in many ways. It began as an indoor men's sport, and it has changed now because it is an outdoor men and women's sport. The sport is broken down into slow pitch and fast pitch. Slow pitch can be played by grown men and women. The fields are bigger, and 10 people play at a time. They have all men's teams, all women's teams, and co-ed teams. The rules vary slightly in slow pitch than fast pitch. Fast pitch can be played by youth girls and women only. It starts with youth girls as young as 7 and under, and goes all the way through college play. It used to be played in the Summer Women's Olympics, but it was recently taken out because the U.S. dominated every time. With all of the changes, it now brings us to how softball is today. The ASA's national office is located in Oklahoma City. The Amateur Softball Association registers over 245,000 softball teams, holding over 3.5 million players. It annually registers over 83,000 youth girls fast pitch softball teams, which involves over 1.2 million youth girls. ASA has hundreds of thousands of tournaments each year for teams to participate in. These tournaments are held year-round, and each state hosts an ASA state tournament every summer that teams can qualify for. Today, the highest accomplishment a softball player can achieve is a college national title. A childhood dream of many young softball players is to play in the Women's College World Series. This series is held in Oklahoma City every year, and 8 of the best teams in Division I softball play for a chance to win the national title. Divisions 1, 2, and 3 of college softball have a World Series, but the best of the best play in the Division I Women's College World Series. Now that we know a little history of the game, let's learn a little background on how it is played. The game of softball requires 2 teams to play, and a normal game lasts for 7 innings. Each inning is divided into top and bottom. For example, if you hear the top of the 4th or the bottom of the 6th. There are 2 main parts of the game, offense and defense. Every inning, each team will get a chance to hit and play defense. Before the game starts, coaches make a lineup, which tells players where to go on the field and when they are to bat. The most important thing to remember is that there are only 3 outs in an inning, and that the team with the most runs at the end of the game wins. This sport may seem simple, but it takes serious dedication to make it to the top, just like anything else. It is played year-round, so that means you practice year-round. Most teams practice 4 to 5 times a week and play 2 to 3 times on the weekend. Tournaments are not normally local, so that requires parents to travel each weekend to make sure their child gets to play. And that costs a lot of money. It's $200 for an entry fee, and then you have to buy a hotel and food. With all of that being said, let's talk about what we have learned today. We have learned about the history of softball and a little bit about the background. We covered how the sport began, how it has changed, and what it is like today. Now remember, the first softball was made out of a boxing glove, so originally it was soft. But today it looks something like this. Big yellow and really hard. It's even harder than a baseball. Thank you for watching my speech.